what you're looking for in these games is improvements or developments from singular players or lines or combinations. So we'll start with Saturday night. A lot of people talking about Josh Hosang.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I thought he was extremely good for the first preseason game. And he what I liked out of the Leafs there, because it was interesting. It was a very sloppy game, and I eventually, at some point in the second period, look up at the shots, and I'm like, Montreal's getting their ass kicked. But it didn't feel like that. So didn't learn until after the game that Montreal landed in Toronto at 3:30.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
3.5 hours before puck drop. So that's hilarious. But what I noticed out of Saturday's roster is the theme is effort, right? The theme is maximum effort. And yes, it was sloppy. I don't expect the first preseason game to be anything but that. But the theme for the team was effort, and Hosang was maximum effort. Him, Bunting, all the NHL guys led the way, I thought.
Yep, Tavares with a Tavares goal. That's that's vintage John Tavares.
Nylander dominating on account of he's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't really fair.
No.
It felt like the regular NHLers just looked so much better than everybody.
But the Habs had a lot.
They did.
That's true.
But the plane, like Nick Suzuki's quote after the game was hilarious. He's like, I think it looks like we landed at 3:30 for our first preseason game.
Why did they schedule it?
I don't know.
They didn't have to do that.
Like, why would you put your players through that?
Up to you.
Right.
Montreal.
There must have been, I don't know.
Flight canceled. They couldn't drive. Like what? Like it's not that far. Anyway,
Hosang looked really good, but there was one play where he made a pass in his own end and was admiring it, and he got nailed. And it could have been really bad. And there's been a bunch of that over the first two games. Leafs getting nailed, Habs getting nailed. It's just one of those things at the beginning of the preseason where it's a reminder that you're playing in the National Hockey League.
Was it game one where Rich Clune laid that big hit?
It was Curtis Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
The guy who went over the bench?
Yeah,
That was Curtis Gabriel on... It was an NHL player, too.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But
Romanov.
You saying guys getting murdered, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. No, and like Brennan Manel getting destroyed yesterday, and otherwise I thought he looked pretty good. There were a lot of big hits in these games.
what did you think of the Curtis Gabriel fight?
I thought he looked exhausted when it began, and good for him for trying. I mean, it's not that he's not tough. It's just that like he went into that like I think it was 50 seconds into a shift. He should not be taking 50-second shifts ever. Like that's not his role
not his game,
at all. And I saw a lot of people like, oh man, this guy can't skate and he's brutal, and like you're just not getting his role on the team.
What's his role? Define it right now.
To hit guys over the boards and get in fights and stuff like that. He got into a fight because he laid another hit. Like,
is he an NHLer?
I mean,
is he an
based
NHLer
on
in
what?
that role? In that role.
Yeah.
On the Leafs, is he playing a bottom six role?
Anyone's an NHLer depending on what you want. John Scott was never an NHLer a day in his life. But they wanted him.
I think
That's
you'd argue with
all-star
you.
MVP John Scott to you, sir.
He was, dude, they signed him, I think, to an AHL contract for the Iowa Wild.
Right.
And he had never fought, to my knowledge. But big men go boom. And they made him into that.
John Scott played 286 NHL games.
That's amazing.
Don't disrespect
That's
him.
amazing.
No, listen. He's good. He scored. There's a picture on the internet of him having just scored a goal in Toronto on the breakaway. I think he was with the Sabres. And there's a dejected Leaf fan standing right at the glass, and that's my cousin.
Oh!
I was just like, hey, man, you're on TV.
Man, dark times for the Leafs. Dark times.
Yeah, no, like, I'm not saying he didn't play nearly 300 games in the NHL. He did. But if you're talking about your most skilled lineup, which is the discussion around Curtis Gabriel, right? In order to have your most skilled lineup, no, he's not going to be in it. Like, just flatly no.
Right.
But
If you need somebody who's like, I'm going to throw some knuckles.
it's an 82 game season, and sometimes you're going to want to kick some ass. Like, okay, the fourth line in game 1 had little SDA in the middle, flanked by Rich Clune and Curtis Gabriel. He should have just skated to the net every time he had the puck.
Yeah.
Like,
You're not passing it.
With literally an armored escort of Rich Clune and Curtis Gabriel. Who's touching you? Nobody.
That's a
Anyway.
hell of a lineup, eh?
Yeah.
Let Sheldon keep going. This is going to be fun.
This is him going LOL Knuckles and just throwing them out there. It's real peaceful when they're on the ice.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's extremely peaceful. I don't think he's going to be a regular. I also don't think they signed him to be in the AHL.
Just a note on not Curtis Gabriel, Rich Clune's intensity. So I interviewed him 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it was for BT. And he was at that time the Marlies captain. I think he still is, right? He's part of the leadership group.
I think
We
so.
know that. But he was brought in to like get the boys to the gym, and I remember, like, he was a big part of what Nylander, like, some of that development, whatever.
Him and Justin Johnson. Yeah.
Yes, Justin Johnson. And he said, when I asked him, I said, like, what are your expectations for the Marlies this year? Right? Like, what are you guys hoping to do? And he said, well, my focus is on making the Toronto Maple Leafs. And and I know the reaction you just gave me. He was not going to make the Toronto Maple Leafs. But what I like about Rich Clune, and what I thought about that answer later, because I thought that's kind of a non-answer, is that it's not that he thinks he's going. First off, you have to bet on yourself and you have to believe in yourself. But it's not, for him, it will never be good enough to not be on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then if he was on the Toronto Maple Leafs, it will never be good enough not to make the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, it'll never be good enough not to win the Stanley Cup. Like, that's the sort of mentality that guy has. And the more people you can surround him that are young and impressionable, like an SDA, and maybe Rich Clune is not the most talented guy, but that kind of attitude rubs off on people, especially young ones.
And he's played a few hundred games. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not trying to take away from him, but you know what I'm saying? It's like there's this. It will never be good enough.
is he ever going to be in the Leafs' most skilled lineup?
No.
Could you use him?
Yes.
Yeah. You could. That's what I'm saying. But I know people are going to take my John Scott thing out of context.
No, and Curtis Gabriel, obviously, that's sort of the role. So yeah, to answer that question, fair enough. Now, did you have more you want to?
Every player on the Marlies' singular focus should be making the Leafs. I don't care if they're on an NHL deal or not, because they've signed Pavel Gogolev. In the past, Justin Hall. They've signed guys on AHL deals to NHL deals because they were so good.
Yep. Now, I do want to talk about Ilya Mikheyev, who for the first 2 games has played both and looked good in both. However,
when does he ever look bad?
He you know what? Honestly, never looks bad. The only time he looks bad,
the puck in the net.
No finish.
That's when he looks bad. When he's within about 5 feet of the net or has a scoring chance.
His shootout goal.
It was amazing.
I was like, where did those
that?
hands come from?
Well, and so I'm looking at his stick. Am I wrong? His stick is long.
He's got a
for him.
penalty killer stick.
Is that what it is?
It's almost like he needs a penalty kill stick and a 5-on-5 stick.
Because you know when you have to borrow your big cousin's stick or your big brother's stick and you're playing road hockey and half the shaft is out the other side?
No.
I've
never experienced
you've
that.
you have never experienced that. But if
I've only
What
played
is this,
with
a
short
stick for
sticks.
ants?
Every stick is a mini stick.
Okay, so Jesse's never experienced that. If you're Jesse's height, you've never experienced that. But for the rest of us that grew up at a normal height or slightly smaller like I was, you have to choke up on it. And I feel like for him, like my dad, I remember my dad told me, he's like, you're going to grow too much this season, so I'm not cutting your stick down because I don't want to replace it. Sticks were like $10, but my dad's like, no, we're not replacing your stick. So I had a Titan stick, and for the first half of the year, I had to choke up on it, choke high, because like he's like, why would I buy you another stick? You're playing House League. What is this? Learn to play choked up, whatever. And it is funny. It was very much my father, who I love, and so when I see Mikheyev do that, when I see him come in, his elbow is like up here. It's super high, and you can see the struggle when he tries to make a quick move with the puck. The skill is there, but I'm wondering if there's got to be some equipment adjustments there. I know that's far be it from me, guy who played single A hockey at max, to tell that guy. But it's noticeable.
I think it's in his head. It's in his head. And I mean, the offensive instincts to get into those positions is so clearly there. Like there's a dangerous player just waiting to roar out of him, I think.
Yep.
But I can't remember if it was Dave Poulin or Jeff O'Neill. It's preseason. Yes, these games suck. If he can get a couple before the season begins, like what a confidence boost, right? And now I worry that the preseason is reinforcing the wrong things for him because he's getting 1,000 opportunities and he's still not burying them. That's got to be. And I wonder how he feels on the bench seeing the friggin' goals Curtis Gabriel and David Kampf got. Like,
Even Andre
where's mine?
And everybody's like raving about Andre Kasha's goal. I mean, it was sort of
It's a pretty nice goal.
It was a nice goal, but it was like a pass across the crease.
It was a better setup than it was a goal.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, that the credit isn't going. Andre Kasha was in position. That's where he should have been.
Yeah. He was in position and right-handed. That's what made that goal happen.
And Mikheyev must be thinking, what the hell? Like, why can't I get one of those?
Also, it's preseason.
Yeah.
If you got your goal, Mikheyev, it doesn't count.
I hope, though.
Wow.
It's preseason.
That's true, but I hope to get him on. You know how athletes are. They're very superstitious, and they very much like streaky, get on a roll, whatever. Whenever he does get that goal, I hope the Leaf bench goes bananas for him.
Oh, yes.
To build his confidence because he deserves that.
You know what's easier, Jesse? Like, yes, it doesn't count. You know what's easy?
What?
Doing something for the second time. You know what I mean?
Even though the first time was a fake time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or for him, like I'm sure, hey, doing something for the fourth time. Like maybe he leads the NHL in preseason scoring by the time this is done.
That'd be nice.
It'll be good for his confidence. Like if someone, like if an NHL player, I don't know, let's pick a name out of a hat, Willie. Like if he plays 4 preseason games and he is garbage in all of them, you can't tell me that's not going to mess with his head a little.
See, I'm
Maybe
of the
not
mind
Willie,
that
he can't be bothered by that.
right, and I'm of the mind that preseason means really nothing, almost nothing to these players.